In this video, I'll show you the secrets you need to produce vocals exactly like The Weeknd and transform them from this to this. All using stock plugins. What's up, beatmakers? It's Maddie, your partner in production crime and your host of this new series called Behind the Mic. In this series, I'll show you the production secrets and vocal change that the best artists use to get their signature sound, all using stock plugins. In this week's episode, we're tackling the star boy himself, The Weeknd. Oh yeah, baby. Leave a comment below of what artist you'd like me to dissect next. Also, if you want to follow along with this video, I provided a free download of the vocal chain we'll be creating together that you can get for free from my website, link in the description. Let's hop into the DAW and get started. The first thing I'm gonna do is just play the reference track to get an idea of what this sound is like. I'm hearing a very high mid-range focus of this vocal. There's not a lot of low mids going on in there. This was probably ripped with AI, which I've noticed also adds some artifacts into the voice itself. That's what I'm guessing I'm hearing here in kind of that upper mid-range section around 4K to 8K. And now let's hear what my vocals sound like just by themselves. But now I'm playing catch up in the wrong bed. Perfect. The first thing I'm going to want to do before I add any processing at all, if you notice, just looking at the waveform of The Weeknd's, these are super compressed vocals. We want our waveforms to be a little bit more compressed, even before hitting compression. And so the first step I'll do is automate the volume or the gain of this track. To do so, I'm actually just going to affect my input gain. In Logic, you can do that by highlighting the region that you want, going up to I or the inspector window, clicking gain, and then clicking up. As you can see, the gain of my track is being affected. Long, every day since you left, you've gone. I tried to give you everything you wanted. Still seems a little bit quiet. I'm gonna bring it long, every day since trying to give you everything you wanted. But now I'm playing catch up in the wrong bed, So now this region is a little bit more similar to these other two, and they're gonna sit in the mix better before any processing, which means once they have processing, they'll sit even better. After we do that, we're gonna go into auto tune and we're going to find our key of the song. Now to properly find the beat of a song, I'm just gonna use my ears, but I made a video on some other methods you can use right up here. And instead of using auto tune for this, I'm going to be using the Logic pitch correction, staying with all stock plugins. Let's hear how auto tuned The Weeknd's voice sounds. So it doesn't sound super tuned at all. That means we'll be going for a natural pitch correction on this one. Now we know we're in F sharp minor, so we'll go F sharp, natural minor. We'll take our response down here, take our tolerance up a little bit, and let's hear what this sounds like. Every day since you left, you've gone. I tried to give you everything you wanted. But now I'm playing catch up in the wrong bed, Next up in our chain, we're gonna add some EQ. If you listen to The Weeknd's voice, you'll notice that there's not a ton of low-end information, especially low mid. Perfect, so let's try it on our vocals to emulate that kind of soundscape with EQ. Try to give you everything you wanted, but now I'm playing catch up in the wrong bed, I've been thinking about it too long. Another thing I noticed about The Weeknd's vocals and most modern pop vocals is there's a ton of high-end information, usually above 8K, adding that air and shine. I've been thinking about it too long. Every day since you left, you've gone. I'm trying to give you everything. Let's play The Weeknd's. Let's play mine. I've been thinking about it too long. I'm adding in a little bit of mid-range information that I'm hearing from The Weeknd's voice to try to match it a little bit better. A general EQ that I'll use. Then when I compress it, you'll hear it start to shine through. Let's do that now. Compress in Logic, you can click on this little box right here. In this case, I'm going to use the Studio FET. I don't know exactly what kind of compression he used, but this is my personal favorite compressor type to use for vocals. It adds a slight coloration to the sound that I think sounds pretty good. We'll start off with this 2-to-1 for our first compressor to kind of really gently tame any big waveforms that you see here, and I have quite a few. I've been thinking about it too long. Every day since you left, you've gone. I'm also going to turn off auto gain just so we can get a better accurate picture with our own ears. Every day since you left, you've gone. I'm trying to give you everything you wanted. I like the attack time that the default is. It's kind of like a medium attack time, and I'd say that the release is also medium fast release as well. If we look at where this is hitting -5 and -10, that's exactly about the amount of dBs we want to be taking out. So this is about right. Okay, let's take this down, and we're going to hold Option on our Mac, drag it down, and duplicate that same settings. Now we're going to go into 4:1 for this next compressor, and we might even add some soft distortion on top of that.
I've been thinking about you too long. Every day since you left, you've gone.
Take this makeup gain way down just so we could hear it better in the mix.
But now I'm playing catch up in the wrong bed. I've been thinking about you too long. Every day since you left, you've gone.
Now, to really dial in the volume correctly, I'm listening to every single word. Can I hear every single word? I'm not looking at the compressor at all. Oftentimes when we have visual stimulus with our production plugins, we get fixated on what's moving and what's not, and what's colored and what's not. None of that really matters if it sounds the way that you want it to. A good trick you can do is just close your eyes. Hear how it sounds. And finally, to finish off kind of our basic EQ before we get into the cool stuff and the processing stuff like the Weeknd, we're gonna just add a de-esser. Adding in this high-end information on the EQ means that we're gonna emphasize our S's even more. So to combat that, we're gonna add in Logic's de-esser, which is de-esser 2.
I've been thinking about you too long. Every day since you left, you've gone. I'm trying to give you everything you wanted, but now I'm playing catch up in the wrong bed.
Perfect, so it's barely hitting that. We're getting a couple of dBs of gain reduction, which is great. We can go up to 20 depending on if it goes over the threshold, which is plenty of gain reduction. The frequency here is just what frequency we're actually ducking when it comes to this de-esser. 7500 hertz is a really good starting spot for S's, but it can change depending on the microphone, the singer, the room, a lot of factors. And with that, let's move on to the atmosphere of this voice. Now that we've got the basics of the vocal out of the way, it's sounding more like a professional vocal and less like a home studio recording, we can add some cool atmosphere and processing effects to make it sound exactly like the Weeknd. Let's hear what the Weeknd did here. It sounds like he's got some heavy compression, so I might want to add some more compression onto this, but he's also got some delay, he's got some ambiance, he's got a larger reverb, and then he also kind of what I think he's got going on is a slapback delay as well as an eighth note delay. He's got a lot of atmosphere going on here, and let me add these all in so you can hear what it sounds like. To add these in, I'm going to be using a bus track. To do that, we'll go to Sends, go to Bus, and then we'll just go down the line. We'll start with Bus 12. I'm going to name this one Ambience. Ambience, dude, I never know how to pronounce that. The next one will be Reverb. The next one will be Slapback. The next one will be our eighth note delay that I'm hearing with his. Eighth note delay. So we'll go into ambiance. We're going to go into reverb. My favorite for Logic is Space Designer. We'll go into the presets up here. We're going to go into small spaces because an ambiance is kind of small. And for vocals, I do enjoy using plates. So let's go. What about golden vocals? That sounds good. We'll take the wet knob all the way up to 100 because this is a bus track. Then we'll go into bus 13, the normal reverb, Space Designer. We're going to add a normal type reverb on this one as well. But we'll go into medium spaces. Let's add a room reverb this time instead of a plate. Medium sweet, sure, why not? 1.6, that's about right. We might want to make that a bit bigger, so we might change that preset later, but we can always affect it later. For the slapback delay, we're going to go into delay. You're going to sample delay. You're going to milliseconds, link left and right. You're going to go, let's go for around 30 milliseconds. This is going to delay your own voice, however much you mix this in, by 30 milliseconds and play it back. It's going to add some more atmosphere, simulate what happens in a real room. When you hear something in a real room, it reflects off the walls, it comes back to you. That's kind of what's happening here. And then finally, we'll have our eighth note delay, which will go into delay, stereo delay. Click here. We'll have a quarter note and an eighth note there. Perfect. Let's make this a little bit narrower for like a band pass. We want the highs and lows kind of cut out. We'll start with the feedback there and we'll adjust it as need be. Now, these are all wet knobs. If we go full on all of these, it's going to be way too much. Check this out. Way too much. So we're just gonna mix into taste. We'll put in a little bit of all of them just so we can hear it.
I've been thinking about you too long. Every day since you left, you've gone.
We don't need too much ambience. Let me show you this slapback though that I was talking about.
Every day since you left, you've gone.
Kind of cool, right?
I tried to give you everything you wanted, but now I'm playing catch up in the wrong bed. I've been thinking about you too long.
Okay, so for the delay, I'm hearing that that quarter note is a bit too late. So I'm actually gonna go 16th note and 8th note. I think that's gonna work better. Also, after this delay, I'm gonna go into our whole buses right here by clicking X. These are all the buses I just worked on. I'm gonna go into my reverb bus. I'm gonna hold Option, drag it over here, and put it on my delay bus. And now because we're on the delay bus, let's take the wet knob down a little bit. This is going to put reverb onto our delay. Check it out.
I've been thinking about you too long. Every day since you left, you're gone. I tried to give you everything you wanted, but now I'm playing catch up in the wrong bed.
Let's take up the feedback a little bit and maybe take up this more. I want it a bit more present in the mix.
I've been thinking about you too long. Every day since you left, you're gone.
And there's too much reverb on this, so I'm gonna actually take the reverb down.
But now I'm playing catch up in the wrong bed.
Cool. So let's just solo this this delay bus because I think this is a really big part of the sound. Oh, I see what's happening. I only have the wet up, so I have to put the dry up too. My bad. We can also add an EQ after this just to really shape this sound here. Maybe boosting kind of this higher mids. Cool, and let's get rid of some of this mud here. Cool, and one last trick I'm going to have to even blend this in better is I'm going to sidechain this with the audio itself. So I'm going to add a compressor in. I'm going to go sidechain, audio, I think it's audio 1. It's called audio 1. What a great name. I'm amazing at naming tracks. Every time my vocal plays, this is going to duck this down by negative 10 decibels. Or negative 5 in this case.
Now I'm playing catch up in the wrong bed. I've been thinking about you too long.
Perfect. That means every time that there's space in there, this delay is going to come up and try to fill that soundscape just a little bit more. Another thing I'm going to do is before this delay, I'm actually going to get rid of some of those harsher transients by going into dynamics, going into enveloper, and getting rid of this very first part of the attack.
I tried to give you everything you wanted, but now I'm playing catch up in the wrong bed.
Cool, let's take this vocal up a little bit, and I actually think we need to compress it a little bit more before we do any more processing. So after this de-esser, I'm going to once again duplicate my compressor.
In the wrong bed, been thinking about you too long. Every day since you left, you're gone. I tried to give you everything you wanted, but now I'm playing catch up in the wrong bed. In the wrong bed.
So now we're done with the atmosphere and most of the vocals there, but let's add in a couple more creative effects. Let's add in the doubles and the vocals, and then maybe we'll add in the background vocals as well to bring this whole song together. For this particular vocal, and something I hear a lot on pop vocals, I hear a lot of flanged vocals, so I'm actually going to go into flanger modulation. I'm going to add it in very barely in the mix, but using this first initial setting should be fine. Check out what it sounds like.
Every day since you left, you're gone. I tried to give you everything you wanted, but now I'm playing catch up in the wrong bed. In the wrong bed.
I really like that subtle flange. It's going to add a little bit more depth to our voice. And then we'll take the delay down a little bit.
Been thinking about you too long. Every day since you left, you're gone.
Cool. And now that I got that flanger, just some extra little flair there, we're going to hold Option Command C on this channel strip. And we're going to add it to our other vocals that we have in the chain. In this case, this is going to just copy the exact settings we use for everything. Now these are our doubles and triples. I know because I made them, even though they're called audio 12 and 13. We're going to pan them left and right. We're going to take them down in the mix. Now let's open these up. Let's solo them together. And it's just me singing the same part 3 times in a row to give it some more oomph. Check it out.
I've been thinking about you too long. Every day since you left, you're gone. I tried to give you everything you wanted.
I just want it to be really subtle.
Catch up in the wrong bed. In the wrong bed.
I'll open these up as well, or solo these.
In the wrong bed. In the wrong bed. In the wrong bed.
Cool, this is actually hitting the compressor a bit too hard. It's a bit louder than the other one, so I'm going to take this gain down like I was talking about before and check it out.
In the wrong bed.
Cool, and let's hear these background vocals.
Wrong bed. Up, up. Wrong bed.
Cool, so I'm actually gonna go into these background vocals, do the same thing I just did. They're recorded on a different mic, which can be a good tip to try to get them to stick out a little bit less or to blend into the track better. I'm gonna take this down because I know that that's a problem frequency with my mic. I'm gonna pan these. I'm also going to change, these are all going to a different bus because I copied the settings. So we're going to go into bus 6, which is where it was before, so that I have this particular EQ on it so that I can bring it up as the track goes. Yeah.
I've been thinking about you too long. Every day since you left, you've gone. I'm trying to give you everything you wanted.
Now here's another cool little trick. On these doubles and triples, I like to add in more delay and more reverb than normal, just so that you can add that extra atmosphere. So I'm gonna go 13 and 15 and bring them up.
But now I'm playing catch up in the wrong bed, in the wrong bed, in the wrong bed, in the wrong bed, in the wrong bed.
Now notice what I did on these background vocals. I took out all of this high end just to let those actual lead vocals shine through a little bit. This is what we got all together. Let's hear it.
I've been thinking about you too long. Every day since you left, you've gone. I'm trying to give you everything you wanted, but now I'm playing catch up in the wrong bed, in the wrong bed, in the wrong bed, in the wrong bed, in the wrong bed.
Was that the Weeknd? Or was that me? It was a little bit harder to tell, but obviously just me. But the point is that it was harder to tell. And once again, you can download this free vocal chain on my website. And don't forget to leave a comment down below of what artist I should dissect next. This has been Behind the Mic. I'm so excited to start this new series with you. I have so many artists that I want to dissect, but let me know what ones you want to hear. Leave a comment down below, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.